All right, everybody. Let's let those notifications go on out. Yes, we are here. I don't know how long this one is going to be, uh, but we want to honor our fellow warriors' video request. So thank you, Ricky A. Goes by Ricky A. And thank you for this request because it really got my thinking cap going. And I thought to myself, why not go ahead and have it? Let's just chat about it because we all can contribute to this. Because the parent or parents that were or are narcissists and Jezebel, we want to talk about things that we may not have considered about them. So that it's part of the healing for many of you and for all of us, really, even though there's those of us who are fully healed from the psychological, emotional, and spiritual side of things. We still may have some things to consider because and yes, everybody, God told me to tone it down today. He said, tone it down. He said, people need to see that you're willing to do that. It's called compromise, professional courtesy. And so I want to give it a few more minutes, and we're gonna dive into some things that we may not have considered about our parent or parents who are or were narcissistic. Because many of us have at least one Jezebel who has passed away, and some of y'all have both who have passed away. But we're it's an intriguing discovery, and there are a lot of things that I know I hadn't considered. Okay, and so this may help some of you all. Okay, let's say you are away from any parent who is a narcissist. We have to do that inner work, right? It's part of that. And this is why we want to have this discussion about things we may not have considered, because we could still be engaging in activities or behaviors that they did. Because remember, right, okay, social influence. And so I'm going to share with you all a few that I had to break. Okay, I had to break through because I had learned them from her. Okay, not all of it bad though. I need y'all to understand that. Okay, and like I shared before, the one thing I know I learned from her, not such a bad thing, is that you can have your umbrella in the car, but what if you, yeah, you need one in here too. All right, stuff like that. Okay, but that's not right. That's not bad. That's common sense. That's okay. But as far as the way we do things, that's what we want to really dive into as well, because the way we do things, are we doing things the way our narcissist parent was doing it? Are we doing things the same way? If we are still doing things the way they did, what are they? And do we need to stop doing it that way, right? Because there's something I learned, right? In God's reality. We all start to learn this. That, hey, we don't have to have breakfast for breakfast. We can have whatever, as an adult, we can have chili for breakfast. We can have a hamburger for breakfast. I mean, after all, people eat pizza for breakfast, right? There you go. So if that's acceptable, why not other things, right? We start to think outside the box. But one thing I noticed myself doing that the Jezebel would always do is, well, it's not that big of a deal, but in how she would prep some foods. And I realized that I was doing it very similar, if not almost exactly like her. Not such a bad thing, but I was like, wait, I don't have to do it like that. I could find a different way. And so that's the type of stuff that we want to consider, right? And that we may not have considered previously about ourselves. Like how much of their mannerism did we adopt? How much of their activity did we emulate, meaning copy, right? How much? Because remember, God tells us not to emulate. And so while some things are not so bad as far as, oh, well, the umbrella in the car and in the apartment, okay, that makes sense. All right. We want to start to examine things that we continue to do that was the old way, right? Right. Things that was from the old way of doing things. Now, I'm not talking about, okay, look, if there is a particular method for prepping a meal that's just common for everyone, okay, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about gestures, mannerism, things like that we may have, that's right, that we may have adopted from the Jezebel parent who was engaging in those, well, yeah, or showing or taught us those mannerisms and other things. So we got to learn to be more mindful. Oh, wait a minute. Because you know the saying, right? Yeah, we hear it. So where they say, like mother, like daughter. Like father, like son. Okay. And then it can also go the other way around, right? Like father, like daughter, right? Anyway, it can, because I know for a fact that I am closer to my biological dad as far as my mannerisms and my some of the way of thinking, right? That since don't allow yourself to stand there and get frustrated with something if you're working on it, right? He's the one that taught me, if you find yourself starting to get a little bit flustered, walk away for a little bit, take a break, sort through it, and then go back to it. Okay, that's the kind of things like, oh, you know what? That stays with. So that's common sense. That's wisdom. So we don't allow ourselves to stand there and get built up with frustration over something, okay? And not lose our temper or step out of character over it. Just walk away, take a break, right? Things like that. Okay, but as far as the Jezebel female, I did notice that I would do certain things, right? Like I started to set up my bathroom a certain way, as if, I sure did. And I said, oh my goodness, wait a minute. Oh gosh, wow. Okay, I got to I switch it. Yeah. And then also, a good example would be thinking that certain dishes belong in certain areas, right? The old way of thinking, the way that she had it organized in the kitchen. So I had to unlearn that kind of stuff that we may not have considered before. And it really happened. And I was like, oh gosh, wow, yes, I don't have to do it that way. No, I don't. And so I can tell you now, though, that this healthier living lifestyle that we're living, um, it would drive the narcissist crazier. I'm telling you, because we're utilizing non-harsh cleaning techniques like vinegar water, and then also realizing that there's a lot of things we don't need to buy anymore because it contributes to the very issue it's supposed to take care of. It sure does. Anyhow, so things like that. And then also here's another thing that we may not have considered. Why do we continue, right? Like when I first got here, why did I buy the exact same product that she used? For dishwashing and stuff. Because over the years, that's a habit that creeps in. And you realize that, wait a minute, I don't have to use the same stuff if needed at all. I switch it up. Not because it would remind me of her. It's just, that is something that she used to do. That's the product that she used to buy all the time. So over time, got into subliminal. So when I got in here, and I've got a dishwasher and all that. So when I went to the store, what did I do? It automatically, I picked the exact same, maybe not the exact same type, but the same brand, same soap. Exactly. And so I said, okay, hold on a second. I need to examine this, take into consideration, why are we doing that? Well, because it's what we were taught. But there's a lot more freedom than you would think. If you're in your own place now and you don't have that influence, you can go and try something new. Try a different product. Why not? Right? Yeah. Try new things. We don't have to do things the way that they used to do them. And it is also very important to consider, what the world tried to teach us about how to do things, because that's how they taught us to do things. Think about that. Okay? And so I'm not saying it's not all bad, no, but that discernment. We want to consider, okay, hold on a second. As far as a particular way of organizing, we come to learn pretty quick that we don't have to do it the way they. See, that's the thing. A narcissist always wants us to do things the way they would do it. Okay, because many times when we engage in doing something the way that God guiding our steps to do it, and the narcissist didn't like it, the narcissist will come in and go, you know what? I wouldn't do it like that. I would do it like da 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 da. And before we knew what we were dealing with, we changed up how we were doing it, didn't we? Mm-hmm. That was how they were able to get that illusion of control over us. So, okay, and so thank you. I'm glad that you are sharing. So let's just chat. Everybody, drop it, even when you catch it on the replay, drop it in the comments below. Some things that we may not have considered about these, because this is very, very important as we are being transformed by the renewing of the mind. It's part of the transformation process. Transforming, meaning that we ain't got to do it the way they taught us for a lot of things. That's right. Because we find out in God's reality, well, remember, we've been lied to about a lot of things. So, your mother's controlling influence meant that she had to have you not making your own choices. Oh, that's okay. Great consideration. Thank you. Yep. When you did make your own choices, she would insist that, right, she would insist that your choices are wrong. Exactly. You know why? Because you were demonstrating the ability to make up your own mind. That's why. And the narcissist, especially Jezebel parents, don't like that. They don't like the fact that we can and do know how to make up our own mind, chosen one. That's right. They don't like that. Right. She had a hard time believing you were a person in your own right, a separate entity with your own ideas and direction. Exactly. This is the one thing that many of us have to consider also about the parents who are narcissists, and then one of them is a Jezebel. We have to consider that that's how they are. They don't see us as being an individual. They don't see us as a human being. Remember that. Narcissists view us as objects. They don't view us as human beings because they themselves are not. They are demonically possessed. And so they can't view us as human beings because they, with the demon of assumption, want us to be like them. So they automatically assume that we are like them. And they quickly realize that we're not. But that's a very, 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 yes, woo, all right, yay, hi, Michael. Welcome. I'm glad you could make it too. Yes. Yet things that we got to take into consideration. And so the narcissists have a hard time believing that we are a person and that we do have our own thing. But yeah, that we are, chosen ones, we're self-thinkers. We're go-getters. We don't. Yeah, and the narcissists, they just can't understand it. They never will. And so, okay, and your dad would say that he wouldn't do it like that and had to have things done his way. See, that's classic right there for many parents who are narcissists, is that they will always want us to do things their way. Because, see, never forget something. For narcissists, they are so uncomfortable within themselves, right? They're already uncomfortable in their own skin. And so when we come along and let's say they have a certain way for doing something, and then we come along and are engaging in a similar or the same activity, but we're doing it differently, they can't handle it. It makes them uncomfortable. Right? Because they're trying to turn us into them. Remember that. That's another reason why they do that. They come in they don't like the way we're doing it because it's different from what they do when doing whatever it is. And so, it sets us apart. And the other side of it is because trying to turn us into one of them by having us do the same thing they do things the way they do them, say the thing that they say, right? The list is long because that's what they're trying to do is over time. Remember that brainwashing is slow and subtle. And so that's what they're trying to do is turn us into one of them. And so the narcissist parent, they don't view their children as human. And if there's more than one child, we already know one is the scapegoat and the other one is the golden child. And the golden child becomes another Jezebel. We've learned that too. Yep, the golden child will become a Jezebel. And so if the child happens to be an only child, It could go either way. They're a scapegoat or a golden child. That Jezebel case study that I closed, okay, almost a year ago, yeah, that one was a golden child. Oh, yeah, all the way. I guarantee it. Because of the way that she displayed her behaviors. And so we have to take into consideration that that is a big part as we're growing up, as they're trying to groom us. They want us to be just like them. Many parents who are narcissists want their children to basically, and there's nothing wrong with, listen, there's nothing wrong with if the child is okay with it going into the family business. That's one thing. But if the parents are narcissists, they are almost forceful. Let's say one of the children does not want to do that, but wants to go off a different path, like go to college and all of that, right? But the narcissist parent didn't do any of that. And so the narcissist parent's like, really going to give that child a hard time because they want to go their own way. Whereas the narcissist parent, yeah, it's not gonna fly very well. And so, yeah, and so they do that all the time, and just happens to be your exact situation as well. Okay, see, this is the, this is a great discussion so far. Yeah, see, we've got some of y'all. Yeah, we've got some of y'all where both of your parents were narcissists, whereas those of us who only one ended up being a narcissist and a Jezebel to boot. So, yeah, and you're okay. He was a do-it-yourself guy. Well, of course, that's how a narcissist thinks. Listen, okay, so Chris is sharing here that his biological dad was a do-it-yourself guy, right? Okay, nothing wrong with that. But he will truly believe that his dad do-it-yourself ways were always the best ways. That's how narcissists think. They believe that their way is the best way and there is no other way to do these things. Let that sink in. So I'm monitoring the comments here too, y'all. I don't want to miss anybody. And so, yeah, never forget that live chat's for you all too. Okay, that's right. But I appreciate y'all sharing these things because well, you know what? And then there are some of us who, right, there are some of our fellow warriors who did not have any parents who were a narcissist, but everybody else out there in society, right? At work, school, that's, yeah. So, management, and, that's a big one. Remember, narcissists always want to seek out management position because, right, they want to be a boss. They want to boss people around. That's what narcissists do. But, they do, okay? You have to consider how they think, right? You have to consider how these narcissists think. So when they become a parent, remember, they let the parental status go to their head because this narcissistic matrix out here teaches them to do that. Okay, they let their parental status go to their heads. Okay, that's when the Jezebel gets them. Okay, yes, every single time. If they let a position, status, or title go to their head, that's where the Jezebel comes in. And it can be, exactly, it can be gender. If they let their gender go to their head, Jezebel gets them. If they let their job position go to their head, well, I mean, when you think about it, the very first time they let something like that go to their head, because that high-mindedness, thinking more highly of themselves than they ought to, think about that. Okay, God tells us, that's in Romans 12, verse 3, that we're not to think more highly of ourselves than we ought to. And then he also tells us in the Bible that if we think of ourselves as something that we're not, then we have deceived ourselves. I'm paraphrasing. I don't recall the exact verse just yet, but if y'all think of it, you know what I'm talking about, where he tells us not to, right? Yeah, he tells us don't do that, but that's what these narcissists do. And when they become a parent, everything just continues to go to their head. All right, just remember that. Once they become a Jezebel, whatever it is that they are doing, yeah, they do. They're always going to think that their way, like their ways are the best way, and that there's no other way to do something other than that one way. They're very resistant to change. Let that sink in, okay? For any of you who may not have considered that, when a narcissist let things go to their head, that everything's going to go to their head. And I'm going to find it. I'm going to find that verse. Here we go. Oh, that's not the one. But Romans 12 verse 3 is pretty much the one, is that you don't think of ourselves more highly than we ought to think. Okay, but to think soberly, according as God has dealt to every man the measure of faith. So, yeah. And I know that it would be deceived. I'm not. Oh, gosh. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to. I know it's in here. We're going to find it, y'all. Deceived himself. Because that's what they do. The narcissists deceive themselves all the time. There we go. Galatians 6 verse 3. For if a man think himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself. That's it. 6 verse 3. And so another good one of 1 Corinthians 3 verse 18, where it says, let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool, that he may be wise. See, that's the thing with these narcissists, all right? They are the fools of this world. They think that their ways are the only way. Okay, they do. They believe that no one should do anything differently, because remember something. They're so used to that comfort zone. Always take that into consideration when you are doing the reflecting and things like that for your healing and inner work, as you unlearn certain behaviors, mannerisms, ways of thinking that the narcissist parent had, okay? We have to break those ties. Remember, chosen ones, your generational curse breakers. That's how we do it. We stop doing things the way they always wanted us to. Yeah, there's a lot of things that we don't have to do the way that they taught us, okay? Again, that discernment. And so they don't realize that there's other ways to do things. They don't want there to be any other way to do things, because, they want everybody to be the same, right? That's what we see going on out there. They want everybody to be the same. So, okay. All right, so, right. Okay, well, see, there's the other thing to consider right there. Thank you for sharing, Michael. Yeah. The narcs want us to be people pleasers. Absolutely. Yeah, we all dealt with, we were a little bit, we all got taught to do that people pleasing until we learn in God's reality that We got to stop doing that. Yep. We got to stop doing that. And yeah, please God only. And I really, we can relate. Once a quarter from 700 miles away for 12 years straight. Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough one when you're dealing with the co-parenting side of things. Oh, absolutely. So, right. Yeah, definitely prayer. But yeah, they do. They love that, right? They love to play the tyrant over their kids and boasting and bullying them to do things their way. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what the narcissist parents do. And never forget something else to consider when dealing with parents who are narcissists. Okay? They will try to take credit for your accomplishment and your achievement. And at the same time, they will try to live vicariously through your successes. That's what narcissist parents will do. They want to live vicariously through their children's successes. And they want to take credit for them. And so we learn something. And so a little bit of story time, okay? And what was I going to do, right? Seriously, Chosen was a peacekeeper. So before she passed away, and I launched a event, okay, a meet and greet local author event in the previous environment, those two Jezebels, they went with. I know one of them didn't really want to go, but I saw the haughty spirit. Okay, that's the thing, because me and my book, and she was, that haughtiness came out, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's trying to live vicariously through me. And I said, oh wow, okay, I'm not surprised. But that's a narcissist parent for you. Okay, you all, that is a narcissist parent for you, because they'll do that. Now, at the same time, if you don't succeed, right? Let's say the child doesn't succeed. Oh gosh, now you're going to get the other side. They're going to dish out, gaslight, put down. They're going to, take into consideration the other side, okay, of the coin. Because, right, if basically though, here's the thing. Chosen ones always succeed. Okay, we always do. But it's all about how they would perceive success. You have to take that into consideration too. How do these parents who are narcissists perceive success? Well, think about how the world defines success. That is how they are going to perceive it. And I want y'all to know that success comes in many forms. Absolutely. It comes in many forms. Success comes in, oh gosh, a number of ways. Little ways, big ways. But a narcissist parent is going to perceive success as the way the world does. The world views success in terms of money and materialistic things. There you go. Now, also, okay, if you complete a training, let's say you complete, it doesn't matter what it is. You get a college degree or what have you. And the narcissist parent is going to boast. They're going to brag about it. That's what they do. My child, look what my child did. They never outgrow the show and tell that we all engaged in, many of us did in elementary school, right? Remember that? That's part of the grooming, you all. That's part of the grooming that we go through. That show and tell. That's exactly what a narcissist parent will do. Is they will boast and brag about their child's accomplishment. And I had that one tell me to my face that because she was my mother, she had bragging rights. Well, I don't know about y'all, but I know what God says about that, right? Ah, exactly. Yeah, he tells us, right, we're not to do that. So we learn to knock it off too. That's another behavior that we outgrow. But the narcissist and the narcissist parent never will. They don't outgrow the toddler mindset. They don't outgrow toddlerhood. Although they're an adult, and so they're doing adult things, but they are not able to go through any of the renewing of the mind because they conform to this world. So, chosen ones learn. That's right. Right, and narc parent love playing to do things their way. That's right. And then the vicarious thing is true. Live your brother, the golden child, and when he died, it was a massive dent to her ego. Of course. Of course. Of course. Never forget that. It's very important. And so we want to keep in mind, a lot of things to consider. And so I thank you all for sharing here, because it is very important for us to, think outside that box as we're going through the healing process, and doing that inner work and breaking old habits as we unlearn old ways of thinking. Yeah, because we got to. Once we see all the things that they were dishing out and things that they thought, we don't think that way. You know what I'm saying? The narcissist parent, there's many reasons why they have children, but a big one is because they want control. They want that parental status because society continues to give them special treatment for being a parent. Society keeps putting parents up on a pedestal. What do you think Mother's Day is all about? Idolatry. Father's Day, same thing. Idolatry. We live in a very idolatrous world, you all. It's idolatry out there galore on the world stage, when God is very clear. Do not commit idolatry. As far as following a good leader's examples, that's one thing. Especially when you don't know anything outside of what the world has taught us. I know many of you joined this growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ, and so we're here to guide you every step of the way, for those especially on the detox journey with us. Don't forget about that, okay? We've got the Patreon digital product line going to help y'all with that, to give you tried and true thing, okay? So when I come up with something and I make something, whatever, y'all can fine tune and tweak, but I'm giving you something to go by. I'm giving you some foundation over there for healthier living as we combat that radio frequency. But see, that's the other thing. A narcissist parent, many of us had them who did their best to eat healthy, and then when they were on their way out of this world, they just gave up and gave in. That's the thing, you all. Narcissist parents will do that too. They give up and give in to whatever worldly demands there are, because they are carnal. They have the fleshy mind. So they're not going to see chosen one as genuine human beings. They're not going to see it that way. They're not going to look at us that way. Narcissist parents will never view their children. See, that's the thing. They could see that we were growing and evolving and maturing. They couldn't accept it. They didn't want to accept it. So narcissist parents will always view their children. It doesn't matter how old we get. It doesn't matter. They're always going to view us, okay? The narcissist parent is always going to view us as this little child. Because I can tell you, the Jezebel, when I went on a business trip, and and I met the Jezebel case study for the first time in person, right? Well, I ended up going to a hotel for that night, and the next day, mind you, now I'm in my early 40s, but she, because of her viewing me still as the little girl, and because the world dropped in fear all the time about this and that and the other, and we realize a lot of that stuff's not even real. No, a lot of that's staged. It's a world stage. So, with that being said, the next day, because I got a later checkout, so I could get some more videos and work done that are no longer available. Yeah, I took them down. When I closed the case study, I took them down. As many of them as I could. So, that being said, the next day, I didn't get home until, let's just say, later than I would normally have arrived to the house. And the Jezebel sitting there and, superficially apologizes for opening an envelope with that Jezebel case study initials and I don't know if it was phone number. I don't remember the information that the Jezebel asked me to write down because I don't know this person. And I'm sitting here going, why are you acting like I am in high school? Now we know why. And so I was like, okay, fine. And I put it in an envelope, sealed it, and left it on my dresser. She did claim, she promised she wasn't going to look at it. It was just for her peace of mind. Okay, very nice, but very strange. So I go about my business. And so I don't make it back the next day until later than I would normally arrive at the house on a regular work day. I walk in, she's like, whew, about to call. Like she did that. And I was like sitting here going, wow. A narcissist parent can be very, very overprotective because of their possessive nature. And that's what that was. Because she would only view me as the child and not the grown adult. Although she did mutter in surprise after I got settled in there and took care of the ex-psycho case study and all of that, the ex-psycho roommate. And after I took care of all that, just going about my business, getting things straightened out, handled, and I'm all right now. Okay. Now we can take my final exam for that master's degree, graduate, attend graduation, and move on. Right? We did. So, that being said, she did mutter that she was really surprised that I'm very self-reliant. Chosen ones are very self-reliant. Yes, chosen ones are very self-reliant. Because, well, it's God who guides our steps. And so I'm going to check in over here with some comments. All right, everybody, I know it is Let's Just Chat. And so I'm just sharing some story time with you all. You're not alone. Things for us to take into consideration. Right. Exactly. Thank you, Chris. Yes. Okay, I got my first place. It was a trailer when I was 17 because I graduated high school a year early. My biological dad, I don't know how he did it, but he marched himself on into the principal's office, right? And because he looked at all my credit, because I was just, it was like, gotta go. There were some things going on in my life at that time, and so I just needed to get done with high school. I needed to be done with it. And so my biological dad, I don't know how he did it, but he did. He walked into the principal's office, and I don't even think it wasn't even a half hour later, and he told me, he said, yep, you're skipping 11th grade or 10th grade, one of the two. Okay. I believe it was 11th. Okay. I believe it was the 11th grade because I had enough credits because I was in marching band, blah, blah, blah. The only thing I needed to graduate was another English class and one other, two things that I had to take. And so, boom, I dropped. Right. So I had to drop chorus to take that. And so we did. And so he got me out of high school a year early. So I was 17 when I graduated. And I got my first place. And basically, yeah, lived as an independent adult for the majority of my life until my separation and then my divorce. Right. And it just kind of like, yeah. So, and now we're back to that. Okay. So I had to go through a roommate. And then I had to go back home a few times to collect myself and get back on my feet and learn what I needed to learn about parents and how they were also narcissists. Now, my biological dad, on the other hand, is not a Jezebel. He's showing some signs of change. So glory be to God. Because when I point something out to him, he's quick to go, oh, that's right. My bad. And so there's hope there, and I'm glad. So we want to remember that parents who are narcissists, many of them are not going to change. They don't want to put away childish things. They certainly don't. So, right, there you go. It is incredible that my own, she did not want, no, and she didn't want to. She didn't want to see it. Yes, thank you, Michael. I got out of there. And, it's funny. Chris, that's a good point because I had heard that early on in my life when I would discuss goals and things like that. Before we knew to move in silence, I would discuss goals, and I was told many times that I had a good head on my shoulders. I didn't know what they meant by that. Now we do. No, my biological dad has remarried. I have a stepmother. And they're fine. They're fine. They may still participate in something inside the matrix that I don't, but other than that. No, that right there is not too personal because the Jezebel and my biological dad, they split when I was 13. And so I saw it coming because their bedroom was right next to mine and I could hear them arguing. So I was already emotionally prepared because I saw it coming. I was like, oh, yeah, this is not forever. And, right, if you had stayed, see, that's why we tell, oh gosh, you will hear professionals even say that. So you're right, Michael, that if we have kids and we stay married just for the sake of the kids, that would not have been, that would not have been very healthy. But no, they split when I was 13, and I believe I was 15 when they finally divorced, if I recall correctly. And so they got the joint custody of us girls, and I was like, okay, I mean, that's fine, because we were obviously still too young. But then, of course, I was not that far away from turning 18 anyway. So yeah, just to give y'all a little background there. But I do know that as we learn more about narcissism and realize the fact that we had at least one, and some of y'all both, parents who were narcissists, and a lot of them do stay married. If both parents are narcissists, they will stay married just for the sake of the kid. But not all narcissists do. You know, you have to remember that as well. So there's a lot of them who do, and right, for the sake of the kid, because that is an old belief system. That's an old way of thinking. Generations ago, that it was thought, pretty much it's thought by a lot of those who have the spirit of religion. Okay, remember, we don't have the spirit of religion up in here. No. Okay, we are Holy Spirit led. All right, we're non-denominational. Consulting for Heightened Awareness is not, we don't operate as a, we're not a cult. Because there are a lot of religions that if two people are married, if they get a divorce, then the church kicks them out. Because that's what happened to mine. When they separated and were getting a divorce, the church that we were going to as a family basically gave us the boot. Told us that we were not welcome there anymore, basically. So, yeah. And so there's a lot of them do that because that stems from an old way of thinking that once you get married, that it's like some big sin to get divorced. And God's clear about it. If we catch who we're married to cheating, committing adultery, oh yeah, we are allowed to get a divorce. In fact, let me pull that up for you. Let me pull that up for anybody who is wondering. You are on the co-parenting side of things with a narcissist, that yeah, you are allowed, because God tells us. Oh, when I came across this, I was like, oh, okay. Okay, so yeah, I don't remember exactly, but okay, here we go. It is Deuteronomy. Okay. Well, yeah, it's in chapter 24 in Deuteronomy. All right. And in verse 1, let's see. Right. Okay, 24, Deuteronomy 24, verse 1. When a man hath taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eye, because he hath found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement, and give it in her hand, and send her out of his house. So, yeah, it's right there. That we're allowed to get a divorce, okay? And then in Deuteronomy 24, verse 3, again, it says, and if the latter husband hate her, and write her a bill of divorcement, and give it in her hand, and send it her out of his house, or if the latter husband die, which took her to be his wife. Now, there's a verse that would be in between there, but you get the point, okay? That, yes, because he talked about uncleanness there. So, and when, okay, in verse 2, it says, and when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife. So, as far as that goes, and so, I'm sure, because there's another one. Yep. In Matthew 5, verse 31, it hath been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement. So there you have the Old Testament and the New Testament. That divorce is okay. And then also Jesus goes on in Matthew 5, verse 32 to say, but I say unto you, that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for, meaning, except for the cause of fornication, causes her to commit adultery. And whosoever shall marry her that is divorced also committeth adultery. So in other words, let me use me as an example here, because I am a divorced woman. Because I caught the angry narcissist cheating. In other words, he was committing fornication and adultery. Okay? So, we are legally divorced. I mean, it goes both ways. I know he's talking about her, but mankind in general, when Jesus is telling us. So what that means is that whoever marries him, also, if he gets married again, whosoever he married also commit adultery. And no, I have not done so. I have not remarried, and I'm not even thinking about that. It's on God's time, and if God so had that for me, I'm letting God. See, that's why I screwed up before, is I did not let go and let God. So we ain't doing that again. Okay, just to let y'all know. It's all on God's time. Okay, what is meant to be will be at God's appointed time always. So I want to be clear about that. That I'm not dismissing the idea, but I'm also not contemplating it. It's not something that I am like, you know how the world is all gung-ho on that. If it's meant to happen again, it will happen. And I won't be committing adultery. You see, that's what Jesus is saying there. Because I wasn't the one doing the cheating. It was him. So it goes the other way around when it comes to the female narcissist who's doing the cheating, and fellow chosen one, who happens to be one of y'all, okay, happens to be the male, okay, who's not doing the cheating. So same rule applies, that same concept applies, but we are allowed to get a divorce. I mean, several times in the Bible, right there. So, yeah, and I'm not surprised, but there's a lot of those things out there that, yeah. Okay, both your grandparents were married for life, and divorce for their generation was not something to consider. Oh, see, that's what I'm saying. It's part of the old way of thinking. It's like the old school way of thinking. Okay? And it's not surprising, because what do narcissists do? Well, right, they live in the past. So they're going to continue to have the old way of thinking about things. Okay, so a divorce is allowable, and God tells us the conditions that, yes, God's not saying that, you know, if you find out that, right, that they're an evildoer, we have every right to say, it's time to go. Because God tells us many times that no contact, right? So, yeah, that was something for the narcissists and how they, yeah, separation of empaths from narcs. Yep. It made you feel like you were damned for choosing to divorce, never cheated on them. Well, okay. I want y'all to know something. That cheating is not necessarily just physical. Every narcissist cheats. Yes. We come to know that they do. What does God say about the lustful eye? Yes, God tells us that if a man, mankind, man or woman, looks at another with a lustful eye, and they're dating or married too, let's just say married, okay? I guarantee you, Michael, that she did have a lustful eye for other men. So she was definitely committing adultery already. Because God tells us that even if it's not like in the physical, even if it's not, if that person is lusting after another when being committed to someone else, then they are already, just with that lustful eye, they are already committing adultery. So that's also cheating. And they also cheat online. That's how I caught mine. Online in the chat room. That's right. And I had to point out to him, I said, how do you know that you're chatting with a lovely lady in Puerto Rico? How do you know you're not chatting with some male trucker right here in this very parking lot where we're snowed in? Oh, he didn't like that truth. He slowly closed the laptop and his head went down. I was like, welcome to the online world, right? I did. I pointed it out. Oh, yeah. And so I started planning my escape. And it took a couple of years, but we got away. Because I wasn't going to, I was like, yeah. Because I was in the bunk reading this very Bible when God told me to look up in between the curtain, and I caught him on the laptop. Yep. Cheating. He says, it's not cheating because it's not physical. I said, oh, really? I said, you're having a sexual conversation with your wife in the bunk. Oh, you don't think that? Oh, right, okay. Because you're already thinking lustful thoughts about this so-called, well, you don't know if it's really a... Oh, boy. And so, yeah, I got a little bit jaded because I took my vows seriously. Right, it was very stupid and clumsy of him doing that, but yeah, right in front of his wife. Yeah, but he could be chatting with I know, I was like, Yeah, this is the spiritual battle for the mind. Yeah, it is a big separation of the empath from the narcissist. It's God separating the wheat from the chaff. That's right. Big time. I think they're going to be, okay, you got it right on your third attempt. Congratulations. Once you find other empaths who have done the work on themselves, it's a great fit. Absolutely. There you go. I think we are going to be a ton of available empaths soon. I think there are going to be. Yeah. Oh, I already know. It's just a matter of time before they find us here at Consulting for Heightened Awareness, a place where they have a voice, and they are spiritual warriors for Christ as well. Most empaths are. Right. Narcs have been known to become or recognize that they are, just for the sake of increasing supply. Thank you for sharing that. I can believe it. Yes, I get that they are. And then let's not forget about them claiming to be bi. And I would say, yeah. Yep. That's a very good point. Right. Even the thought. There you go, Chris. Thank you. What God is telling us right here in the Bible about that. Because it's sin. It is a sinful world out there. Absolutely. So this has been a great discussion, you all. A lot of eye-openers, a lot of things to consider about narcissists to a parent, and then narcissists in general. There's a whole lot more. And so if y'all catch this on the replay, feel free to share some additional considerations that you may not have heard us talk about. But there's a lot of things that we do need to take into consideration when we are doing that inner work and just really breaking old habits, breaking old ways of thinking. And another congratulations to those of you who did get it right finally. You found yourself a true blue chosen empath to get married to, and we're joyful for you. Oh my gosh, yes, very happy for you, because that is awesome. And sometimes it takes three, right? Sometimes it takes that third time to get it right. And that's the other thing we learn too, is that God says that we don't have to try and figure it all out at once, right? Yeah. Okay, that's why you'll have someone claim to be bi, or the other, homo, if you will, decades into a marriage, because someone from the same gender placed them on a pedestal. It must be is what they think. Yeah. Once they get their ego stroked by, it isn't gonna matter. But they will claim to be that. I'm on board with you about that. And God is very clear in Romans chapter 1 about that too. Okay, yeah. Romans chapter 1. He's very clear about right. We're not to do that. But listen, Jesus dropped the charges. Yes. Many thanks to all of you for being here. Yeah, nice to have another chat contributor joining the live. Yes, it is, isn't it? I'm glad to see you all interacting with one another, because we're iron sharpening iron here at Consulting for Heightened Awareness, because there's so many things to unpack in God's reality as we continue to, expose the darkness. We continue to, educate y'all. Okay, getting God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true technique, and more. Not just here, but at CDHRWDRMD.com. Don't forget, you all, when you take one of the courses, okay, that you got at least a year to complete at your own pace. And you also have the option of a one-time payment or 5 monthly installments. But you got to click on that arrow to see that. Yeah, that would be nice to hear from the others. Yeah. And also, we want to remember something too, that y'all, it's going to take time for some. And then we also have to remember that there's monitoring spirits out there as well. So we take all that into consideration. And that also not all trauma survivors are ready yet to chat. They're still, you know what I'm saying? So it just depends on where they're at in their healing. It just depends. So I don't want anyone to feel obligated. I want y'all to know that you can participate, that the chat is for you when you're ready. So I want to be clear about that. And I know it will be when they're ready. It will be an awesome, let's just chat. It always is, though, because I leave the, and thank you, Michael, and to subscribe. And they will when they're ready. Okay, they will say hi and chit chat. Right, we won't want to, we're not going to bully anyone here. No. But I do know that for all trauma survivors, it takes us a while. I know, I'm going to share with you all real quick. When I joined another community, growing community, okay, my mentor in spirit, when I joined her growing community, it took me a while before I even started leaving comments. I mean, it's just, it is what it is. So they have to go through, because remember what happens in narcissist abuse, right? Okay, yeah, they get silenced. And so they have to find their voice again. And so you all have found your voice again. And that's when more interaction takes place. And then don't forget, there will be some who will catch this on the replay and leave some comments as well. So I thank you all again. And yes, thank you. Make sure you subscribe so that you can get the notification when we go live. And then also when we drop additional content. And we got a playlist on this channel for wherever you all are at on the spiritual awakening journey with trauma healing and spiritual growth. And then as part of our movement, combating radio frequency for healthier living. Okay. So thank you all again. Great points. A lot of things to consider when we are reflecting to connect dots about the parents who are narcissists. So thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to make sure I don't want to leave anything. Right. We are being kind and gentle. And I know how you guys can get when you get a little jokey. It's all good. Okay. It's all good. I know where you're coming from. Because we want everyone to be, we want you all to know that you are included. And that this growing community is a place where you do have a voice. And that you don't have to stay silent forever. Okay? And we know that it takes time. You have to be at a certain place in your healing to feel comfortable enough to interact with our fellow warriors and myself. We get it. Because I know many of y'all, it can take almost a year before you book a session with me. And I get that. Yeah, I learned all about that in my trauma training. That you have to, trauma survivor, go through what they got to go through when they get to a point and they're healed well. Yeah, they get to a point and they're healed well enough, then they'll come around. Because we went through it. We went through it as we were trying to find our voice as well. So there you go. All right, everybody. For additional information, insight, and other good stuff, check out some playlists. Okay, check out some playlists. If you want to know how to heal from trauma, got one for you. You want to know how to adapt to the new spiritual norm, got one for you. If you're in the process of breaking trauma bonds, got one for you. Goodness, yeah, we've got a ton of videos for trauma healing, spiritual growth, and all that good stuff. All right, everyone. So there you go. A little jokey and cheeky. Yes, both of you all. You're welcome, Michael and Chris and everyone else. Joking and being a little cheeky. Yeah, that's a male trait, I think. Yeah, it's fine. It's all in good fun because we understand where it's coming from. All right, everybody. So until next time. Let's show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father. And you keep being you. In Jesus' name, amen.